I am X24571844 Gunner Edward Denmark. I served in T Battery, Charles Usual's Troop of 12 Air Defence Regiment, Royal Artillery. I fought in the Falklands Malvinas War in 1982 as a rapier missile operator. My job was to shoot down Argentine aircraft. Sadly, my battery achieved its aims and shot down a number of aircraft. My contact and everything to do with this has been through my good friend Julio Herrera Vidal, VGM. Now, I'm not reading from a script because I know this stuff by heart, but I need a prompt because my memory is not what it used to be. I'm suffering from terminal blood cancer, multiple myeloma, and that is what's prevented me from coming to Argentina, but I still hope to make the journey. This address is to you soldiers, but it's also to your president, Macri. For 37 years, there has been an injustice in your country, and that injustice has been Argentina, the failure of your country to recognise the valuable contribution and the commitment made by your soldiers who defended the continental bases. Those soldiers not only defended them bases, they also armed and serviced the aircraft that attacked us in the Malvinas. Now, I witnessed the courage of your pilots. I have never seen such superb and courageous flying in my entire life, and I've seen a lot of air forces fly all over Europe, but your pilots were superb. That said, they would not have been able to carry out their job had it not been for the valiant contribution made by the soldiers on the continental bases who armed, serviced those aircraft. Those very soldiers that are still being denied recognition by you, President. Now, the Falklands Malvinas War was largely an air war. I understand how valiant your infantry were, but they were not the problem to us. It was your aircraft. If you consider the damage done to Britain by your Air Force, it was immense. The amount of ships sunk and the damage caused, and just the daily fear of those air attacks. That was what was the big problem for us. Again, with all due respect to your infantry, we knew where they were, we had them where we wanted, and we could, to a large extent, control them. The same can't be said for your Air Force. We never knew when they would pop up, when they would attack, what kind of damage they would done. They not only hindered us, they slowed us down, but they absolutely were the biggest problem during the whole war. Now, like any arm in any army or Air Force, we need supplies, we need backup, and we need people to do the things to keep the whole machine running. I was at the tip of the arrow in that war. I was on the ground fighting, shooting at your aircraft. If I wasn't sitting on the rapier, I was firing my rifle at them. But the missiles that we loaded onto those rapiers, and the ammunition and the food and all the supplies and batteries and the whole amount of stuff you need to fight a war, was being sent to us from Ascension Island. Ascension Island is 4,000 miles away, and I was under no illusion that had we not had them soldiers on Ascension Island supplying us with the things we needed, we could not have fought our war. Those soldiers on Ascension Island were recognised. They were recognised by the British government for the contribution they made and the fact that they kept us going. And yet your soldiers, who were 400 miles away and were under threat, have received no recognition. And yet our soldiers with all due respect to them, who are under no threat from air attack or anything else, or even possible landings, have received their medals and are recognised, quite rightly I might add, as veterans. And sadly, and this is one thing I don't agree with, soldiers who were back in the UK, literally 8,000 miles away, were even recognised by the British government and awarded medals. And yet soldiers of the Argentine Air Force, 400 miles away and under threat from landings and God knows what, have been denied recognition. That's not right. Now, a lot has been written in the press about various operations, and one of them, I'll just go to my notes, was an operation called Plum Duff, and the other one was Operation Mikado. Now, a lot's been written about these operations. One of them, Mikado, the idea was that they're going to land at Rio Grande and Tierra del Fuego, excuse my pronunciation of them bases, where the crews lived. The aim was to kill the pilots and ground crews in the living quarters. And the other one, forces did land. Unfortunately, it was an epic failure because of supplies, weather conditions, and just various unforeseen circumstances. So British forces did land in Argentina, and it's well documented. So if the reason for not giving your soldiers on the continental bases medals or recognition is that they were in no danger whatsoever, then that doesn't hold water, because they were in danger. Beside the fact that the contribution they made, they were in danger and they deserve to be recognised. Nearly every single British soldier I've spoken to about it has agreed with me that them men have been left for 37 years without recognition, and you are wrong. You are wrong as a country to do it. I would also say this to you. President Macri, that war in 1982 was not a defeat for Argentina by any means. I think a lot of the senior officers in the government looked at it the wrong way once the war had finished, because Argentina took on one of the major superpowers in the world. And though it pains me to admit it, they gave us a bloody nose and they fought courageously. So instead of looking on this as a defeat when your soldiers returned, you should have been celebrating in the streets for their courage and everything they done, and the loss, and celebrated the loss of your soldiers for what they done. I would like to say this to you, and I hope you will answer this. And I'm going to read this from the script that I've written out. God will judge the men who armed and serviced the aircraft that killed my comrades, as he will judge us who killed your men. But I ask you this: if those men are to be judged by God and therefore recognised for their part in war, why is it, sir, that you still choose to ignore them? Please, I'm asking you this, and I'd like to see this before I actually die myself, that you and the Argentine government and the Argentine people recognise these men. Do not let any more die and go to the grave as unrecognised. You owe it to them. You owe it to them as a nation, and you've got a moral duty to recognise them for what they've done. They are war veterans. It's got no matter that they never stood on the Malvinas. They were less than 400 miles away. 400 miles is absolutely nothing. And it's not enough of a distance to deny them the recognition they deserve. So I ask you, President Macri, to respond to this request and do the right thing. Please put this right for all those men, all the families, and in the memory of all those men who have died and gone to the grave not recognised. I thank you for your time. I salute all you veterans. I will fight for you as long as I've got life in my body. I promise you that. Thank you.